Hi, my name is Huang. On behalf of Group 1T1-45, I will present our study on AI-driven marketing trends and future. This presentation is based on our summary report called Precision, Personalization, and Casual Intelligence in AI-driven Marketing. So let's get started with the presentation roadmap, what we're going to go over in this presentation. So we first start with the background and the scope of our report, and then after that we'll delve into the main argument that are made in the report, which is the shift from traditional marketing to AI-driven marketing. After that, we'll explore the key trends across different research domains in marketing. Finally, we will summarize our key findings and discuss the future directions, including challenges and opportunities in AI-driven marketing. So let's get started with the introduction. So in the introduction, we'll want to talk about the background or why we need why we want to learn about this research. So we start with the digital marketing challenges. So in the digital era, marketers encounter three main challenges. The first one is fragmented customer journeys. For example, like just me or everybody, a single customer might interact with a brand through social media, through website, a mobile app, or even like emails before making any purchase. Right? This makes it very difficult to capture the attention of the customers, and also very hard to track and influence the behaviors of the customers consistently. The second challenge is data overload. Companies now have to collect massive amounts of data and information, but often struggle to extract the actionable insights from it, just because those data and information need or requires advanced analytics to be understood. And finally, traditional strategies such as RFM analysis, stand for recency, frequency, and monetary analysis, cannot capture the real-time complexity of customer behavior. They fail to measure the true casual impact of marketing campaigns and struggle to meet the demands of personalization. And these limitations create an urgent need for more advanced approaches, not just the traditional one. So to better understand how marketing is changing, our report synthesizes key findings from 5 different research areas. These include rural tourism marketing, search engine marketing optimization, online customer touchpoint, AI alignment through preference optimization, and casual targeting with uplift modeling. Even though these are all different areas, they all point toward the same underlying shift in methodology, which is traditional to AI-driven marketing. So our objective is to highlight these innovations and show how they can collectively represent the true direction of marketing in digital era. So let's go ahead and delve into the main argument with me. So the main argument in our study is that marketing is undergoing a fundamental transformation from traditional to AI-driven. Instead of relying on broad and static models, the field is now moving towards precision, personalization, and casual intelligence. In other words, marketing is now becoming much more tailored to the individual, to each customer. It is adapting real time to customer behavior, and it is increasingly focused on understanding the true casual impact of each action. And the thing that makes this argument compelling is that we see the same pattern across very different industries, from tourism to e-commercials to digital advertising and even artificial intelligence itself. So to briefly mention uh, about the traditional and AI-driven method, we have a clear example um, of RFM analysis with reinforcement learning, RM. So RFM looks at how recently a customer purchased, how often they purchased, and how much they spend on each purchase. While of course it's still very useful, but it's entirely backward looking. Cannot predict the future, cannot adapt to changing behavior of the customers. Reinforcement learning, on the other hand, continuously update its strategies based on customer actions, because that's the algorithm. For example, in search engine marketing, an RL system, so-called AdCraft, can adjust bidding strategies in real time, maximizing long-term customer value. This makes the reinforcement learning a much more powerful tool for dynamic environments and competitive landscapes. So let's dive into like what the trend analysis looks like. Uh, okay. So marketing approaches has evolved in three clear stages. So the first stage was, of course, the traditional segmentation. But this is where companies grouped customers into broad categories and just use simple responses models to analyze them. These methods were straightforward, but it entirely ignored the personalization and casual effects. The second stage is current big data analytics. Um, Business will begin to track online touch points with this method, apply sentiment analysis, and use predictive modeling. This allowed, of course, greater responsiveness, but still very limited because they are reactive rather than proactive to the data. And the third stage is emerging AI-driven simulations that we want to talk about. This includes reinforcement learning environments that we talked about earlier, advanced natural language processing, and casual modeling. These techniques allows marketers and researchers to test the strategies in realistic simulations, adapt in real time, and measure casual impact at the individual level rather than just broader. So combined together, these changes shows a progression to prescriptive strategies, or in other words, marketing is no longer just about describing what has happened before. It is increasingly about predicting what can happen, what will happen, and prescribing actions that actively shape the customer behaviors. So the first example I want to talk about is rural tourism marketing. So researchers has proposed a three-stage AI model that applies to the entire travel cycle: pre-travel, travel, and post-travel. So before the trip, the AI system targets potential travelers with personalized promotions, right? And during the trips, AI enhances the experience with tools such as virtual guides. So you don't need humans anymore. You just need like a phone, for example, to see the clear instructions on how to navigate through this journey during the travel. And then after the trip, customer feedback is analyzed using sentiment analysis to evaluate and improve the services after the fact. By integrating AI and big data at all three stages, this model not only analyzes behavior, but also actively shapes and improves the customer journey. So one customer on top of the other, their satisfaction and gets more and more, gets better and better. The second important innovation is the search engine marketing optimization. Experimenting in live advertising marketing is very expensive, and of course it's risky because there are too many data that are constantly updated and need to be considered. So to solve this, researchers created AdCraft, which is a simulation environment. It can mimic real-world auction dynamics. Marketers and researchers can use AdCraft to safely test the RL algorithms before deploying them into the real world. This is extremely helpful because it can reduce costs, lowers risks, and allow new strategies to be tested before under the realistic conditions, even before like going into the real into real marketing campaigns. And this AdCraft is very similar to like how pilot trained in fly simulators instead of flying around without knowing if it's safe or not. The third example or illustration that I want to talk about is an online retail. So businesses often face thousands of unstructured customer reviews across multiple platforms. For example, like many reviews can talk about the same thing, but in different ways, in different languages. So how do we do that? Deep learning methods such as CNNs, convolutional neural networks, and topic modeling are now used to process those reviews and identify key issues in those reviews. So for example, if reviews mentions late delivery, poor packagings, companies can just prioritize on those areas rather than all areas, putting the money in all areas, right? So in this way, AI helps businesses not only to reduce the cost that they or the expenses they had to spend on, but also enhance customer satisfaction and loyalty by acting directly on the areas that matter most to customers. So the fourth illustration that I want to talk about is DPO, or direct preference optimization. It represents a very an important methodological advance. Unlike reinforcement learning with human feedback, which requires building a separate reward model and training through multiple loops, DPO actually treats these models like itself as a reward system. So everything in one place, which makes it faster, cheaper, more stable to train. While it was originally developed in the context of language models, the principle of modeling and optimizing preferences is highly relevant to marketing. It offers a more direct and efficient way to align strategies with customers' needs and expectations. And the last example that I want to talk about is the uplifting models, uplift modeling. So uplift modeling takes personalization even further than just focusing on the casual effects. Instead of predicting who is most likely to buy, it predicts who will buy because of the marketing action. For example, in a credit card campaign, some customers would apply it regardless of the promotion. They don't care. Or while others would never apply it at all. But the real values actually comes from the persuadable customers, those who respond only when targeted. So by identifying and focusing on these groups only, uplifting model maximizes the return on investment and reduce the wasted marketing spend. Because the first two customer groups don't really care what happens. They would either just apply or not. So that is the end of all of the trend analysis that we talked about in our summary report. And now we want to move on and talk about the key summaries that we just mentioned and also the future directions that hopefully can happen to AI-driven marketing. So in a conclusion, across like all 5 domains that we studied, there is a clear convergence toward marketing strategies that has to be precise, personalized, and casually intelligent. So these advancements actually open up new opportunities for businesses to optimize their marketing strategies and driven better outcome. But of course, these research are still in process of improvement, so it has a lot of challenges remaining. Many models are still tested only in simulations and need real-world validations. For example, AdCraft, even though it's tried to mimic the real-world auction dynamics, it's still it only uses just part of the real-world data, which is specifically 100 data rather than thousands of data as in real-world marketing campaigns. Data complexity continues to pose problems, especially with unstructured information such as text, messages, videos. Finally, there is actually issues with equitable access. Smaller businesses such as rural operators may lack resources to implement these advanced systems because they are advanced and expensive, very pricey. Moving forward, research and practice must focus on bridging these gaps, we think, to ensure that the benefits of AI-driven marketing can be realized broadly and fairly to all the businesses and companies, not just big corporates. And that is the end of my presentation on AI-driven marketing trends and future. And thank you for listening. And we hope that this presentation has given you a clearer picture of how AI is reshaping marketing and the challenges that lie ahead of the AI-driven marketing. And I would like to give my gratitude to all the members in our group for making this project happen. And thank you so much for listening again.